I just answered your question.
What is the answer?
He was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was sexual abuse. It wasn't actually rape, by the way. And E. Jean Carroll joked about all the money she's going to get and made a mockery out of this case. And I think that's offensive. There's a reason why women don't come forward. And when you have someone who says that they're raped and they make a mockery out of this civil court judgment, it's offensive to other women. It makes it harder for other women to come forward when another woman has made a mockery of it.
You said women don't come forward because they are afraid. They are afraid
they're
because
judged
they're defamed
and shamed,
by those
like you're trying to shame me this morning.
They are afraid to come forward, as you said, because they are defamed by those who commit the rape. That's what Donald Trump has been found guilty of doing.
Well, on the heels of the media refusing to properly cover the DOJ's internal report that there were 26 FBI informants among the J6 insurrectionists, and we're going to cover that in detail. ABC has to pay Donald Trump $15 million toward his presidential library, and they had to issue statements of, quote, regret from ABC News and George Snuffleupagus. Yeah, it's a good week already.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That will give you notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. That's the way that we get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of the Afternoon Drive. Over the weekend, it was released that ABC News has to issue $15 million to Donald Trump in an out-of-court settlement, which means if they settled, their lawyers advised them, you're going to lose badly. This could be hundreds of millions of dollars. Think Dominion Voting and Fox News, and was nearly a $1 billion payout that Fox News had to make. And so rather than go through that, they settled with Donald Trump. Now, again, the amount isn't what's important. The fact that ABC and George Stephanopoulos, the guy who headed the Clinton war room when Bill Clinton was running for president the first time, the guy that is absolutely entrenched to the Clintons, the guy that is responsible for covering up one of the most prolifically corrupt financially, think Clinton Foundation and all that ATM money that just funneled through there from foreign entities buying influence into our government, to his proclivities of dalliances with, you know what I'm talking about. The guy was a horn dog. And when I hear Democrats talk about the sacredness of the Oval Office, really? Bill Clinton was diddling an intern in there with a cigar. So you tell me that Donald Trump is somehow bringing an irreverence to the Oval Office, and try to make that argument with a straight face. But nonetheless, this goes back to the Jean Carroll defamation lawsuit, hogwash, bullhawk. Remember this.
I just say it's a fight. That way I'm not the victim, right? I'm not the victim.
You don't feel like a victim?
I was not thrown on the ground and ravished, which the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual. It hurt. It just, you know.
Well, I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
You're fascinating to talk to.
It's this guy, DC Trano, tweeted out, did you know that the statute of limitations for sexual assault in New York is typically 5 to 7 years? New York even has a 20-year period for civil claims of sexual assault. But that wasn't enough to get Trump. Jean Carroll's claims go back to the mid-90s. So New York amended the law. When did they amend it? In 2022. To provide unlimited statute of limitations for civil claims of sexual assault, and provided a 1 year window where pre-existing claims could be litigated. That's where Jean Carroll comes in. Funded by a Democrat activist, she filed her claim against Trump in that limited window, and even a liberal New York jury wouldn't find Trump liable for rape. People paying attention know what this truly is, another political attack to try and harm Trump before the 2024 election.
I was coming out of Bergdorf's. I was coming out, and he was coming in. He was standing out, and he put his hand like this. He said, "Come advise me. I want to buy a present." I said, "Oh, for who?" He said, "For a girl." So I was enchanted. It was such a great moment. Walked in, and the minute I was in there, he shut the door and pushed me up against the wall and bang, banged my head. You know,
But I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Did anyone want to role play a rape with you in a public place?
Yes, there was one, a bit plain, and it was not her fantasy, it was mine.
Okay.
Yeah. Role play took place in the dressing room of Bergdorf's. While she was trying on lingerie, I would burst in.
Hold on.
So Donald Trump, in a New York jury, was not declared guilty of rape, but rather defamation. But yet, George Stephanopoulos in ABC News kept reporting it as rape, even in the presidential debate that ABC News moderated, referring to the incident as rape. And Team Trump said, "No, you are not going to keep calling me a rapist and get away with it." They sued, they won, and now this has got the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media, it's got them back on their heels because they're going to have to now, can you believe it, boys and girls? Watch what they say. You know, it's amazing. They could say anything they want about Donald Trump, and that is supposed to be considered sacred as the fresh fallen snow. But Donald Trump is constantly in real time being quote unquote fact-checked by these people and called a liar, yet who is it that does the lying? Hey, remember when some of us were saying that what happened on January 6th was stirred up by operatives within the crowd that day? Operatives that were there to do nothing but create problems. And again, let me issue this little caveat. I'm not saying that every Trump supporter in Washington, D.C. that day behaved in a way that they should have behaved. There are always people, zealots in every group. Now, I'm going to go out here on a limb and say about 99.5% of the Trump supporters who were there that day, it was a peaceful protest day. Yes, they really did believe that the election was being taken from them, that there were enough shenanigans going on in the 2020 election cycle, you know, all of these extra mail-in ballots, some states having more people vote than actually registered to vote in that state, and those votes being accepted. Remember those kind of things? And again, you can watch a TV show like Ozark with Justin Bateman, not exactly what you would call a Trump supporter. And they did a whole plot line on the fact that there are voting machines out there that outside entities can tap into and change votes, undetected by IT and tech people. Bum, ba-dum, bum. So when every state starts all converting over to the same voting system, you hear where I'm going with this? Okay. So people were there to protest, to make their voices heard. But what's important to remember is that some of us said, wait a minute, 2 and 2 aren't making 4 here. There was something stirring this up. I knew pastors who were there. They were there to pray. They weren't there to create trouble. And then when we start seeing the video footage of inside the Capitol, most of the people in the Capitol look like junior hires on a field trip. They're staying in between the velvet ropes. They're just in there taking pictures. You know, rioters don't usually take pictures. People who are out to overthrow the government don't act like they're on a tour. Remember now, let's get a couple things factually straight about MAGA people, conservatives. Number one, we respect law and order. We back the blue. We're for the police. So there's that's number one. Number two, by and large, they are patriots and they are in awe when they're in a place like Washington, D.C. of the history, and they are respectful of it. Now, for a few that went in there and wreaked havoc, we're now finding out what we already knew, and now the DOJ is admitting that there were FBI informants who were outside creating agitation, and they were inside, already dressed as Trump supporters, letting the other Trump people in. We all knew this. Here's the issue. If they're admitting to 26, you can guarantee it was 200. The reason they're admitting to the 26 is they're worried that when Kash Patel and others of the new Trump incoming cabinet begin to really look at this, they think these are the 26 that are the most vulnerable, that are going to be spotted right away. But I promise you, there were hundreds more. That said, Stephen A., known for his prolific knowledge of sports, just ain't having it. He has had it. Lifelong Democrat, lifelong liberal, and he's not having it. He doesn't understand that these people that are constantly so sanctimoniously telling us how bad and how evil Donald Trump and his people are, yet every time I turn around, I find out they, my people, have been lying to me. Once again, we who are called conspiracists have been proven to be the one with the facts on our side.
FBI Director Christopher Wray announced plans to resign at the end of the Biden administration as President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January. The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appear to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. So 23 folks for the FBI were in the crowd. And we're just finding that out. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee, by President Biden before her, by Democrats in both the House and the Senate as they articulated the belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case. And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged, the Democrats are this or that, they're talking about us, but look at what they do. We don't know all the details. It's a report. Justice Department comes out with this. That's not my big issue. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. Where's the $1.5 billion that was given to the Democratic Party? Where is it? Where'd the money go? Why was Oprah given $2.5 million? Why was Al Sharpton's National Action Network given that much money? I mean, I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, you know, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? You know what I'm getting to the Democratic Party? You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right. I would love to argue with Sean Hannity. How can I? How many times did the Democrats tell us no one's above the law? No one's above the law. No one's above the law. Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, Elizabeth Warren, who makes you feel like your soul is going to hell if you don't agree with her. I'm not going to pardon my son. I want to state for the record, I have no problem with him pardoning Hunter Biden. I had a problem with him trying to act like it was unjust what was being done in pursuit of getting after my son because they wanted to get to me. All you had to say was, I'm pardoning my son because he's my son. You couldn't just say that, though. You know why you couldn't say that, President Biden? Because you had been telling us it was the last thing that you were going to do. But the Democrats worked really, really diligently to make the case that the right had a monopoly on insidious, evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies, duplicitous, hypocritical, untruthful tendencies. And every time they made those accusations, we turn around and find out that at least some of them are guilty of the same shit. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it. I'm sick of all of it. They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right instead of them. Think about that.
Well, on the heels of the media refusing to properly cover the DOJ's internal report that there were 26 FBI informants among the J6 insurrectionists, and we're going to cover that in detail, ABC has to pay Donald Trump $15 million toward his presidential library, and they had to issue statements of, quote, regret from ABC News and George Snuffleupagus. Yeah, it's a good week already.